And we're live. Hey everyone, it's Lev from Trotec Canada. Welcome to everyone watching around the country and around the world. We have our all-star panel, the usual suspects, Mike Clark, Mel Jacinto, James, and Stephen. And please welcome our very special guest, Vivienne from Laser Babes. And is it Ozizo?
Yes, Ozizo.
Oh, perfect. From Holland, or from the Netherlands. Sorry, what part of the Netherlands are you in?
We're in the middle, right in the middle.
middle.
You just take a cross and then point in the middle, then you'll be in Mike City.
Which city is that, if you don't mind sharing?
It's called Bussum, but it's small. It's
okay.
not, yeah. It's a village actually, but for me it feels like a city because it's small, but still it has all the shops and everything.
Wow. Well, welcome. And you've been, I guess you've been watching us for quite some time. We always see comments and questions from you on Facebook. You've been since the beginning, I think, right?
I've seen some. So I miss it always because as it is Friday afternoon, late afternoon for us. So, and mostly there's other things to do, but then I go back to YouTube. But very nice that you're having me here. Thank you very much for that. I really enjoy watching it. So.
No, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, Mike, I just muted you. I'm just getting a little bit of echo. If you want to put in your earbuds. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so if you guys are customers from around the world, Trotec customers, you want to be part of our community, ask questions. We'd love to have you on the discussion panel. We'll talk about your business like we're going to talk about Vivienne's business, ask her some questions, and yeah, get this going. If you guys are in the chat, just let us know where you're from. Send us a quick message. We'd love to pop that up as well. Hey, Stefan, how's everyone? Perfect. So, Vivienne, if you can, I mean, why don't you tell us how you got started, basically, with your business? And I'm going to open up your Instagram and let us know why you have two businesses, sort of what streams that you sell.
Okay. This is Laser Babes. This is the company that I have with a friend. The dark girl, that's Ellen Lamont. She has her company is Studio Stempel, which means studio stamp. And she is all into stamps, making rubber stamps, etc. And my company is Ozizo, and I sell mainly jewelry tags and leather tags for people that crochet or knit or sew, and they want their own brand name on. So the metal tags. When I took over for Ellen for a while, before that she was making polymer stamps, and that was a lot of work and a lot of handwork at home.
It's going to be covered, but if you want some money, but I think.
Sorry, I just muted Stephen. Go ahead.
Okay, so she did that, and then I took over for her because she had an illness in the family, so I had to take over for a while. And because we're very good friends, I did that. But then I found it way too difficult to make all the polymer stamps, etc. So I started researching, and I thought, oh, lasering stamps, that would be good. So I kind of switched her company over and asked her if she was okay. And she said, well, yes, if it's good, it's okay with me for now. And then she was very, very happy. But we do exchange ideas all the time. So we also developed some paper tape with all prints on it and everything. And then 7 years ago, we went to Frankfurt, the creative fair over there. And they had all these lasers there, and we were in love. And that was 7 years ago. And every year when we went to a fair or anything, we said, okay, we need to get one. But of course, the price is a lot. And we're both a little bit hesitant, but we both had other companies making our stuff for us. So we now said, okay, if they're making our stuff, maybe we should see if we buy one, if we would could save some money. And as her business with the stamps is really booming, she could already do it. And for me, it was a little bit more difficult because my business is not so really big.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we found that these past 8 months, every month we made the payment for the month and saved money. So that was good. Now we don't have to exchange it or send it to other companies.
So you're leasing the machine right now?
No, we bought it, but with a loan.
I see. I see. Perfect. And then what machine do you have? Which Trotec? Is it Speedy 100?
Speedy 100.
Speedy 100.
What bulb, or how do you say that? But the thing is, the metal tags that I make, you showed them before, those I don't make in-house because that's too much work. And I have a great company, the little Susie's one on top, or the health one, that one. These I get made at a company that has I think they have a flex laser. They also have a Trotec. They're also in the Netherlands.
So you outsource these metal to another Trotec machine user that has a flex, and
maybe I don't know.
And you're familiar with the spray? It's too much work in this case.
No, yesterday I made something with the spray. It's really nice and it works really well. But these tags are maybe half an inch, so they're really small. And people order them by 100, and I put them in a jig, and I made the jig and everything, and I tried it, and it worked, but it's a lot of work, and I kind of don't like that work because I made these with another method. I made maybe 80,000 in my life already, and I said, okay, this is enough. I don't want this. So this is what I outsource. But a Trotec outsource, so that's good.
Yeah. So Vivienne, is there any a specific product that you wanted to create that gave you that business idea, or did it start with okay, I've seen multiple products, I want to do all of this, or is there one product that actually triggered your interest to create this business idea?
Well, it's more both our love for machines that made this happen, because we are machine addicts and we really, really like it. I have maybe 5 printers here, and I had a metal printer. I have a sublimation printer, and I have all these different printers and things in my shop. And I really like that. And my friend has the same, but she also has a machine fear. She loves them, but she has a fear. I don't have the fear, so that's lucky. But she has the fear too. So, and well, together we work it out really nicely, and that's really good. And what you said, what item? As she makes the stamps from rubber, that was one item that we knew was already okay. And as I make the leatherette tags for my company, that was for my company. But we had so many ideas that we wanted to combine them, but it didn't fit in either of our businesses. So we wanted a new business, because my business is really personalizing stuff. But also for small companies that want 100 tags or 100 stickers or 100 bags, or small items, the small quantities. And hers is the stamps. And we didn't have any platform for all our designs, because I was going to grab something and then it fell apart. For instance, we made this small vase. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, one sec. Let me just. Yeah, go ahead. Oh,
yeah.
Very
cool.
It's
like a little Amsterdam house. It has a glass tube in it, and then you can put a small flower in it. And things like this is what we liked, and it didn't fit in either of our stores. So also this one, I don't have the vase in it, but you can see it says super Yuffie, and Yuffie means teacher, so it's super.
Are those balsa wood?
Sorry?
Balsa. What type of wood
No,
is that?
it's plywood. It's
Okay.
plywood and
Wow.
poplar plywood.
Yeah.
This is really thin. This is a 3 mil, but we upgraded it and we're doing it 5 mil right now. But I don't have a sample because I sold them all.
That's a good problem to have.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, at the end of the year, everyone's saying goodbye to their teachers, and so all the teachers are getting small vases.
So over the years, like how big have you built this? Like you started like 7 years ago, I think you said.
No,
But
7 years ago is when we discovered the laser, and we bought it 9 months ago.
oh, I see. Wow.
We
Wow.
just started. We're really beginners. We had no clue what to do. We didn't even know where the button was to turn it on. Couldn't find it. And when the man was gone and he installed it, and it's like, okay, now we're going to try it. Okay, where's the switch?
And how did you find the learning curve on this?
Like this. It's after, well, I want to try every material. I want to put everything in, and I ask a lot of people, can I put this in? Can I put this in? From Facebook groups that really are good helping you. I really like that. So I try, and yeah, that's the funny thing with our company. When we started this, we bought the machine like September 15th or 14th or something. And then the Trotec company, the people, they said, oh, you have to enter the award, the design award. You have to enter.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Do that. We said, well, we don't even know where to turn on switches. So how are we going to do that? Then it kind of got to me, and I kind of looked at the entrances of last year, or the year before. And I saw things that I thought, oh, I could even be like that. It's not that I thought this is way out of my league. I thought I could do that. So then we kind of put our effort in, and we looked at, I don't know how many tutorials, Trotec tutorials, especially the one with the 3D engraving.
Oh, right.
Really good one, because I really wanted to use that in the design. So
And
yeah,
if I have I have a bunch of customers who well, maybe they're going to become customers, but are looking, and they're in sort of the same state that you were in. They had, you know, they've been making the crafts by hand, and looking into getting into a laser. Now you're 9 months into it, so you're kind of their future. What would you say to them, to tell them, you know, what your experience was going through it? Yeah.
Well, I'm really a cautious person.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, see how much it would cost you per month. And then figure out if you could, if you could pay that, even though you wouldn't sell anything. Because it's not so much per month. Even if you lease it, it's not so much. And especially when you're with two people, with us, we said, okay, that's half for one company, half for another company. That's even better.
Mm-hmm.
Then we, up until now, we've even made some profit already, and still being able to pay the monthly payment. And that was really nice. That's really, really good.
Sorry, we have Sergio asking. By the way, guys, in the chat, if you want to ask Vivienne some questions, don't hesitate. Design awards. Now, Vivienne, just double checking. You're talking about those 30 years of Trotec awards, right? That was done.
This was the Dutch and Belgium.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
Oh, this was like a Trotec.
It's a Trotec award, but it's only for the Netherlands and for Belgium. Because
sorry, Sergio. I think Sergio is in Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this was something that was Trotec Benelux, so Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg that they did. So this wasn't for any of us, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, they had a global design awards for.
Yeah. If you scroll down in my Insta, you will see almost at the bottom, because it's one of the first things we made.
Is it Ozio or?
No, it's Laser Babes. Yeah, Laser Babes is like the real Laser Babe or the laser company, and Ozio is more the yeah, you just pass it a little bit up. Yeah, you see, we won. Oh, didn't we put we didn't put the design on it, or did we?
You just you put that you've won, but
Yeah, we won. Okay, that's nice. Okay, I have it here somewhere. I can show you.
So, where did you come up with the name Laser Babes, by the way?
That was really funny because we were trying to find a name, and then all of a sudden someone said, "You're Laser Ladies." I said, "Well, that's taking yourself way too serious." And then we said, "Okay," and then someone said, Ellen said, "Okay, we could do Laser Babes." I said, "Okay, that's not taking yourself so serious. I mean, we're both in our 50s. We're moms of many children, and so we said, okay, this is good. Now our people are going to say, okay, they're going to expect Laser Babes. They'll never forget us." And that's true, because everyone, even when they go to the post office, the man says, "Oh, that's one of the Laser Babes." Everyone remembers the name. That's
really wow.
Sounds more fun. Sounds more fun for sure.
Yeah, we have a question from Diego. Does Trotec have a machine that would be a good startup with, or are they mainly for people already that have an experience or own a business? So that's a really good question. I guess, Vivienne, you can answer this question, because I mean, you bought Speedy 100. Did you have an existing business already that you mentioned you have a bunch of printers and you bought it as an addition, but can you also say that, let's say, first of all, did you have that kind of business? And if you didn't, would you start with a laser from scratch?
We didn't have a laser business. I outsourced the metal tags, and I found someone, also a Trotec user, that made my leatherette tags and my leather tags. And that was it. I mean, we didn't have a laser business. I knew that I could have like a couple $100 input, like selling that every month for the leather tags. So I thought, okay, if I upgrade that a little bit, then I can pay my thing. I don't earn anything, but I can at least pay the machine. And then that's why we started the other company, because we wanted all these other things. Yeah, we wanted to make all these other things, and so that's why we decided we could do it. But I think Speedy 100 is really good if you have a lot of ambition and you are more certain of yourself that you can really make money of it. Yeah, I have one on.
Oh, let's see. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So you're doing jewelry. You're doing lots of stuff.
Yeah, that's like, it's really small. I'm gonna take it off. I got to show it to you. Can you see it?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Very nice.
And
is that Trotec?
1 inch. The square is 1 inch. So we design things and then we try to sell it. So, and that's one of the things that we do.
Hey, Lev.
Yes.
Can you bring the Rayjet site up?
Yeah, of course.
Just for the startup machine, so we can just show people that we do have an entry
level. You guys
level.
want to mention it, the guys on the panel, for the startup machine. So Trotec owns, well, Rayjet is our brand, but go ahead, guys. If you want to kind of discuss it.
Yeah, so this is our basic model. Actually, Rayjet is made by Trotec. So this is an 18 by 12 process area. And the beauty about this this machine actually is using an RF tube. It's not your typical entry level that uses glass tube, right? And the software is very close to our Speedy model as well. So if you decide to upgrade to a better unit in the future, there's not a lot of learning curve to be made. You know, 12 the Speedy 100 is actually, as far as I'm concerned, is the better option for a startup, simply because the bed size is 12 by 24. And as far as material, when you order almost any material available for laser applications, it's 12 by 24, so you don't have to cut that extra 6-inch on the bed. So Vivienne made the good choice. You made a
yeah.
choice.
If I would advise someone, I would go for Speedy 100. And if you are in a lucky position that you think, okay, I can make enough money, I would go up one size, because the bed size is the one thing that we're kind of running into now once in a while. especially because when you want more quantities, like we make the small vases like this. One is also one of the vases that we make. It's one of our own designs. And we sell these, but there's only 3 of these. All the items of 3 vases go on 1 plate. And as we sell them to stores as well, it's a lot of plates that have to go in. So, yeah.
So what actually, that's a great point. Why did you guys, is it just the bed size? I mean, did you know about the Rayjet? Did you?
The Rayjet was, for us, was like, I knew that within 2 or 3 months we would outgrow it, especially for the bed size. But also, the Speedy 100. And we have like really good salesperson here in Holland.
Do you want to give him a shout out? What's
Yeah.
their name?
Who was it?
John Goodhart.
Sorry, who?
John Goodhart.
Okay.
And you can pronounce that. Okay, but he told us everything and showed us everything, and he said, well, if you're gonna do at least the Speedy 100, and then it was the 40 watt or the 60 watt, and I said to my friend, well, we need to do the 60 watt because I know, and right now I'm like, okay, a little bit bigger would be nice, but I don't think we're gonna upgrade. We have a year to decide that, because we made a deal with them that we could like trade in for a bigger model.
And why did you go with Trotec in general, like over other brands? I mean, obviously this is shameless self-promotion here, but
it doesn't matter. I mean, we really chose Trotec because we thought this is the best option. So we went to all these fairs and we looked at all the other companies, every single one, all the cheap Chinese companies and the upmarket companies that are not Chinese. I don't know where they're from, but they're from other countries. And we looked at all of them and we found 2 or 3 that we said, okay, this is maybe an option. And then we went to the last fair in March, last year, March. And then we stopped at the Trotec stand and we stayed 2.5 hours at the fair and at the Trotec stand, so we didn't do anything else.
Wow.
And the guy that Yuri Rullens, he is also a shout out for him. He is really technical and very passionate about what he does. Same goes for John. They're both like, they don't own the company, they're just working there.
Yeah, I know Yuri. He's great, actually. He's very
they are so how do you say that, so involved in the company, and they're so that it looks like they're selling their own product, and that's really something which is really good, because that gives me a good feeling. And so we said, okay, what should we do? And then we made an appointment, and I took, I think, maybe 20 materials that I wanted to test. I said, okay, can you do this? Can you do this? And he tested everything. We stayed a whole day there. And John put everything in the machine and tested it, because he didn't know half of the materials. And he said, okay, I'll test them. And everything came out nice. So then we said, okay, this is probably it. We made a little sidestep to another company. But the guy was young. He didn't know so much. Technically, he wasn't very... Yeah, he was okay, but he didn't have the technical knowledge that John and Yuri had. And I really missed that, because I really want the technical input. I want to know why something is happening. Why is this lens going this way and that way? And why, if I don't put it on, like really on focus, why do I get a wide line and not a small line? Things like that. I want to know that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, one thing about Trotec is we're such a global presence. I mean, we have subsidiaries in so many countries and distributors in so many countries that you can definitely get a very local feel for even if it is such a global company. It's not like some of the brands I won't mention, but I mean, where you just kind of buy a machine from overseas and it's very difficult to get any kind of service or technical technical requests. I have this good question from Vimal. This machine can be used for wood cutting or only laser engraving. If cutting is possible, what is the maximum thickness it would take? Also, what type of wood's preferable? So this is a question I guess is good for James, Mike, Stephen, maybe even. What do you guys want to say to this, to Vimal?
Yeah, I'd like to hear Stephen's take on this one, actually.
The thickness, the thickness of wood that we can cut is going to be defined by the amount of power on one hand, and on the other hand, what edition of our machine. Some of our machines don't have direct air assist. So for this application for cutting wood, you would definitely want a machine that has direct or coaxial air assist, and preferably a gasket. And definitely, I would say, depending on the thickness, Mike, you can agree or disagree with me, but for this type of application, I would want a minimum of 80 watts for cutting wood, even if preferably 100 watts.
We have a 60, and I cut 9 millimeters.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Can you hear me, Lev?
Yeah, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead. Mike, we can hear you.
Okay. I mean, I think, is he talking about the Rayjet or is he talking about
just in general, Trotec
general.
I think Vimal doesn't
It's a
have
difficult question to answer because we don't know what thickness we do.
Yeah, well, the quick answer to this question is yes, you can use the laser for cutting wood. The thickness and type of wood depends on the laser power, because when you're dealing with wood, there's a lot of different factors to consider, right? How dry or moist the wood is. The grain pattern, actually, believe it or not, plays a big role as well. But we've had a lot of tutorials, videos showing people how to minimize the burning on the wood as well. Like Mike actually made tons of video about wood cutting and engraving. So maybe we can bring some of the links there on our YouTube channel.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just showing one general one that we have from Austria. But if you type in a Trotec laser engraving wood, there's tons and tons of stuff that Mike did, and lots of countries did. Go ahead.
Vimal came up with this question while we had the Rayjet one up, and so maybe he was talking about that. And so with the Rayjet, yeah, you can cut wood. I've cut the typical 3 millimeter Baltic birch with no problem. Nice golden brown edges, not a burnt edge, and then 5 millimeter with a little darker edge. I wouldn't go beyond that with a 30 watt tube, and with no direct air assist, as Stephen said. But yeah, you could definitely cut wood even on our entry level offer.
Yeah, just remember that the rule of thumb is 10 watts for every millimeter. I mean, if you're in a production environment. So, on the Rayjet, as Jimmy said, 3 millimeter would be your preferred cut width or depth or width. But 5 millimeter, I wouldn't go anymore, because if you start to get too thick, then you're going to get flaming. Yeah. And then you're going to have issues on the edge quality. So certainly 3 millimeter, no more than 5. And if you can, the Speedy 100 is better, just because of the fact that the air is pointed into the kerf. So if you are cutting some of the thicker material, then you will extinguish the flame better. So.
Yeah, I'm just pulling this up quickly. If you guys type Rayjet webinar into YouTube, we have like an hour-long demo and a webinar on the Rayjet, and the Rayjet versus the Speedy 100 versus other kind of general hobby lasers. If you guys want to learn more, check out that webinar.
Yeah, I think to remember on the Rayjet is you are going to get a very good quality engraving on it, right? And you're going to have the speed. So, compared to some of the glass tube lasers, the price point is pretty good. And the quality of the engraving is going to be very, very, very good. And the cut's going to be fast, good. And you can process out of the existing design software, such as Corel or Illustrator. And with the new updated software, you're going to have a lot more ability now to locate with the laser with the job being put on the laser desktop, and And so it's certainly a lot easier to operate now too than with the previous software.
Yeah, and JC Productions actually asking, talk about the new Rayjet, the bigger bed. So I think he's talking about the R500. I don't know if you guys want to just mention that. I can pull up a quick video if you guys want to quickly just, what is it? Discuss it.
Mike is our R500 guru. So,
yeah, well, I guess, I mean, the R500 is a glass tube laser with a stepper motor driven system. So again, the engraving is, you know, for a glass tube is very, very slow. So, I mean, the quality is good, but again, it's just slow. So again, if you're looking for productivity, then, you know, certainly the speedy machines would certainly be better that way. I mean, from a cutting standpoint, it's relatively fast. There is a noticeable difference, you know, in the quality of the cut compared to the servo-based motors on the speedy machines. So again, you know, what I've done with a few people is I've done cuts on both. I know Don did some testing for Didier, you know, where he was cutting some really fine product, and there was certainly a noticeable difference between what he got on the speedy machine versus what he got on the R500. But you know, compared to a Chinese type system or even some of the machines manufactured in the U.S. with glass tube technology, it's comparable.
I mean, it's around the price of a Speedy 100, right? So if you're looking for a large format laser cutter, that's not. I mean, when you say slow, it's slow compared to the SP, you know, the Trotec SP 500, right? But I mean, in general, it's a good cutter for an
well, not only that, actually, the R500 is upgradable. You can add a second laser source to it.
Oh, right.
You can add the CO2 laser, and you can use that dedicated for engraving, and you can use that as a. So if you have a 100-watt glass tube, you can actually put another laser head RF tube 60-watt CO2 on it. So now it's like it works like a flex, right? So you can use that RF tube for engraving, so you can speed up the process.
Yeah, Stefan Durome's asking, did I hear it is a glass tube? Yes. Do you guys want to discuss that as well?
Sure.
James, Mike, the fact that it has a glass tube.
It's a performance workhorse. It's over 100 watts, and it cuts beautifully. It's a lovely tube. It's not glass tube. Sometimes there's very negative connotations. This is a top class, beautiful glass tubing. This machine. It's not necessarily a bad thing at all, and it's a powerful tube. As I say, the more power you have, the better, especially in a wood application. You can cut wood across the entire spectrum of our power, depending on the thickness. But when you really want a cutting workhorse, that's what the Rayjet 500 is. The R500 is definitely a very good cutting workhorse.
Yeah, and JC's Production is asking, can you talk a little bit about the new fabric material for the PPE and how can the U.S. have that? So I think the U.S. is actually working on getting it there. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but you want to talk to your local rep in the States about the Armor Breath. If you want to know more about the Armor Breath, just Google the Armor Breath, like the Armor Breath brand, and you'll see our manufacturer's website. There's a lot of good stuff about the Armor Breath. It's mostly it's a synthetic fabric that protects 90% of particles, where cotton masks would protect 50 to 70%. And of course, the N95 medical masks would protect 95%. So it's very, very good fabric for that. But actually, speaking of PPE, Vivienne, if you want to kind of let us know, I mean, how did COVID kind of affect you guys and your business? Speaking of PPE, do you guys even do any kind of PPE production on the Speedy 100?
We did some, but not a lot. As our company is still very small, as soon as we had the semi-intelligent lockdown that they call it here, still dropped to almost zero. It was really strange because we thought, well, now everyone's going online and ordering things, but they were only ordering things they needed. things for the kids to play with, and things. And we have some, but we don't have so much, and we're not very. We didn't market that so much. So then we did put some fabric in, and we cut some mask pieces for someone to sew, and that worked. But we didn't do a lot with it. There was also, I tried asking, is there demand for something here? Please let us know, but nobody said. But then we discovered all the companies that are very close to us locally. We made a sign, like we have shops that are very close. They're like walking distance from our house, and there's like 5 or 6 shops in a row, and they're very small businesses. So we made a sign, and we just donated that to them. They're also on our Instagram somewhere. It's like with 2 dolls that are holding hands, 2 dolls, and they're keeping their distance. It's on the Laser Babes.
Okay. I'll try to find it. There's a lot, but okay.
Yeah, it's in March somewhere. Let me see. I think it should be more up.
And Vivienne, you actually, I think you wanted to ask the panel some questions about the lasers. I mean, we can open up Job Control. We can open up Corel. By the way, are you using Corel or Illustrator?
Illustrator.
You're using Illustrator, okay. Yeah. I mean, I can bring up Illustrator. I'm not an expert, but we can see. We can try to help you out with it.
I have not so many technical questions about the program, but more. I'm going to close the window for a second because they're going to turn on the party. So
no problem at all. Vivienne told it's her son's birthday, so it's
there's a big party happening.
18th.
It's a COVID party, so it's only.
It's a COVID party.
No, I don't have Illustrator questions because I always look them up, but I have a question about material. Trotec has really nice eco rubber, and it's for making the stamps, and it's green. And we really like that. And then we put it in the machine, and the smell is so horrible. And the machine is in my house. My kids were complaining, and everyone was complaining. What did you cook? So what went wrong? It was really horrible. And we were wondering, is there anything we can do about that? Because we're using opponent's eco rubber, but we kind of want to use Trotec stuff, but the smell is really, really not. Yeah, you cannot do anything with it.
Hans says hi, by the way, but I don't know. You guys want to answer this one, Mike, James, Mel? I mean,
well, you can first you can improve the exhaust system.
We have an Atmos.
She has an Atmos,
An Atmos? Okay. I mean, the pressure has to be all the way up. And to be quite honest, there's no ways around the smell of rubber. I have a customer that usually have a Febreze beside the machine. Before they open the lid, they just spray them. And that's true story. That's what they usually do.
Yeah. That stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We would not consider a pre-filter.
Yeah, pre-filter.
Pre-filter with what they call additive dosing. It's a sticky product that if you speak to Trotec, I think it's a VA5 or VA6 pre-filter that you can get.
Okay.
It's called a VA5 or VA6. I'm not too sure.
But even the stamp, because we send it to the company for 2 people, even the stamp smells so horrible that we can't even sell it to customers because they'll just grab it from the package and it smells like it's really horrible. I mean, every rubber smells, but it smells like a little bit chemical.
That's the smell of money, Vivienne.
I mean, we do have a low odor rubber.
Yeah, we do.
It's not. I don't know if it's the eco rubber, but we do have a low odor.
That works, but that's not eco, and that's here
that's what you're going for. Yeah.
So we have the green stamps that look really nice.
Okay. Well, it's actually. I mean, can you guys? Somebody tell us the history of Trotec. I mean, it came from rubber stamps. I mean, why? If anybody wants to talk about the impact technology, kind of tell people why it's there. and it's because of the rubber engraving. Go ahead, Mel. Oh, James, go ahead, James.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was it 112 years ago? I guess in Austria.
Mike was there at the grand opening.
Mike was at the grand opening.
We got to take a shot every time we talk about it.
We do.
And from there, I mean, they became the world's leading stamp manufacturer, inventing all the cool technology in stamps that we know today. And then in the 90s, they needed a way to produce stamps digitally. And so they sent far and wide for a way to do this, and ended up with the Speedy machine because, I mean, classically, rubber is a enemy to motion systems. And so the rubber dust, in their first models would decimate the motion system of the machine. And so they invented the Speedy with impact technology, which allowed them to produce rubber stamps, 3 shifts a day, and still have the laser be running like the day it was made. And so they said, well, if it does this rubber stamp stuff, well, it probably will protect against all the other materials as well, since stamps are so terrible to make with lasers. So from then on, man, Speedies were the thing to make rubber stamps with. And then slowly over time, we're doing absolutely everything with the laser. So that's the short history.
Cool.
Actually,
We're going to job at our museum.
yeah.
I'll be the curator.
Yeah,
I can tell-
the museum.
I can tell you that I actually was involved in when Trodat bought their first laser machine from another supplier before they started making their own machines, and that machine didn't stand up. And
You're not helping your case,
North-
Mike, with the whole age thing.
Because he
Yeah,
was-
yeah, I mean, that was interesting, because that's exactly what ended up happening. Was they purchased a machine from us. We went and did the install. It was a 100-watt machine, and it wouldn't stand up to the rubber dust. So that was from a North American supplier, and that's ultimately why Trodat put together Trotec, because they couldn't get a machine built by somebody else, so they ended up having to build their own machines, and ultimately it was a dust issue. And as we know, dust is your enemy of your laser machine, right? The more we can get dust out of the machine and everything, the better it's going to be for the life of the machine. So Trotec's taken a lot of extra steps to make sure that dust is minimized as much as they can do inside the physical machine.
Okay.
The
So
guy
I was there. I was a long time ago.
He cut the ribbon. Yeah.
the guy you're seeing
It wasn't stone dust from the chisel. That wasn't what it was.
We do have a lot of add-ons equipment too for stamp making, right? We got the Lacerati, and then we have the color jet. So maybe one time we should have an episode about that, so we can teach people, like, there's more to laser, stamp making than what you see here, right?
Yeah, the guy you're seeing on screen here is Jason. He's our Trodat marketing manager, and we did a couple of these videos showing how to properly engrave rubber. And they also sell Delrin seals. So for any lawyers, if you're selling to law firms and they're doing the seals on the paper, you can engrave that as well. Vivienne, do you have more questions for our
when you use the job control and you use the stamp function, and then you can choose the DPI and everything, but then there's also a function that says cut optimized, and that's really good for the stamps, because you don't want any extra rubber on the side, because then the ink will get on, you get smudges, etc. But when we use that, it cuts so narrow to the edge that it cuts off like the very outer edge of the stamp. And sometimes it's not a problem, because then it's okay, but sometimes it just cuts off a part of the letter or a part of something else, and that's a problem. So is there anything that they're going to do with the new software to fix that? Because we make our own edges.
Optimizations already. I'm not sure if that's in there, but there was a request for the multiples function to have an option to add some white space around each entity. And I think that might tie in. It's worth a check to see if they've optimized that. But in the meantime, Vivienne, what lens are you using?
What?
Because that makes the lens you use makes a difference as well.
What lens size are you using?
1.5 millimeter.
Okay, so that's as narrow as it gets on this.
Yeah.
It's worth a look. It's worth a look to see if that ties in, because I know the latest version they did improve on the multiples function, because we used to have multiples was right up against each other and no option to add any space. Now you can add that in there. Well, there is space in there now, but maybe they've tied that in. It's worth a look.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Version 11.3.
Do you know which version you're using of job control, Vivienne?
I have no clue, and it's not on this computer, so I can.
Okay. So
11.3 is the one you need to look out for.
Okay, and that's the latest.
That's the latest.
11.3. Yeah.
When did that come out? Just like
yeah, it
a month
came
ago,
out,
right?
Yeah.
okay, we didn't upgrade yet, so we need to do that.
Yeah, contact your guy in Holland for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know there. I thought there was going to be like a web-based software. I thought that was the next step.
That is coming. We're basically, that's supposed to be coming at the end of the year, which is going to be a web-based software like job control. We did have a webinar for Trotec customers where they can kind of test out. It's already built. They're just kind of making sure that that they're getting rid of any kind of issues. But there are supposed to be hopefully some kind of a soft launch at the end of the year now. Hopefully. So anybody with a Mac, I know this has been going on for since I started at Trotec. People are asking, when are we going to get a Mac server for Trotec? So hopefully that's going to solve that issue as well.
Would be very nice, because the machine or the HP machine that we have there is very old, and because we're not using it just to send things to the laser. That's the only thing.
And then you can use it from any computer once it's web based. Yeah, so hopefully that's coming out. Any more questions? These are great. Keep them coming.
I think that. Oh no, there's one more job control question. I asked this already in a webinar before, but I wasn't sure if you got totally what I meant. If you put a design in job control, you can flip it over like one time, 45 degrees, and it goes counterclockwise. But sometimes you want to go one more further, because the grain of your wood is like this, and you kind of want to do that. And or the space on your wood is like, it could just fit in here if like the long end goes in there, and then the rest, and you use less space. Why is it so difficult to make something that could just rotate the whole thing around? It doesn't have to be like every degree, but every 45 degrees every time.
We hear you.
We hear you.
I hope the Austrians hear you too.
The Austrians are
Duly noted.
It's really annoying. I really have to go back in the software and then say it's okay. I need it standing up, and then it's going flat anyway. I don't know why, but it's going flat, and then I can turn it, and then it's in the right position. But I keep forgetting thinking about it before I do it.
No, that's a great point. And like Bianca said in our webinar yesterday, she called it the mothership, the Austrian mothership. If you're listening, if you have any other questions like that, Vivienne, definitely this is the time to say it, because any kind of requests that you think. Oh, go ahead, James.
I have a question for you, actually, Vivienne, because a lot of my customers are asking this question, and it's a great one. Is how do you price a job?
We get that all the time, actually.
How do you cost out? How do you cost out? Pardon me?
Well, I'm on Facebook in this group, and it's called The Original Dude with a Laser. You might know it. It's really.
That would be Mike.
Are you talking about Mike?
At least I'm a dude, right?
It's true. Yeah.
No, but it's a really great group. There's people with all kinds of machines, and yeah, so a lot of questions go there. Also, how much do you price it? And I see that in the States you can ask way much more than here. The pricing here is a lot less. I mean, I can see sometimes I see a sign or something, and it's only, yeah, this is the one. And it's really a good group because there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge. And for instance, I made a glass oven tray, and I engraved it on the bottom, but upside down. So I flipped the image mirror-wise and then put it on. And I said, "Oh, look what I made!" I just gave myself a shout out, and then everyone was over me, like, oh, "You cannot do that, and it will burst in your oven and everything like that." And I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that. I have a very old oven. I really want a new one, so I thought I'll try. So,
Is it a Dutch oven?
I
think we forgot to ask Vivienne, what's the weirdest thing you've engraved?
Oh, that's right.
That's a standard question.
That's a very difficult one. We were thinking about it. My colleague and we said, we haven't engraved any weird things.
Well, what's the weirdest thing you've seen engraved ever?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say that.
That's probably what Mike said a couple of
We've seen that too.
No. The most favorite thing I've engraved is the 3D engraving. And like I kind of want to show you some pictures because it's of the Trotec Awards that we won the prize with, because we came out first.
Is it on your website or just your Instagram?
No, it's on my computer, so I need to.
Oh, okay. And I also, Vivienne, just before we go to other questions, are you ever on this group, the Trotec Laser Users official group, by any chance?
I'm not sure.
You should check it out because it's by Trotec users and it's a closed group. You can only be part of it if you have a Trotec, and they share a lot of stuff and insights for Trotec. So I definitely recommend anybody who's watching who has a Trotec who hasn't checked that out. It's called Trotec Laser Users Official. I'm not sure if you have to send them your serial number, but it's just for Trotec people.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
We should make our own, man. Dudes with Trotec, right?
Dudes with Trotec.
In their van.
In their van.
I'll be a guest then.
We actually, I want to just bring up, we have about 10 minutes to go, so I want to bring up some priority questions from the audience. Gail from Sherwood Park in Alberta. The difference in lenses and their applications, I mean, it's a very broad question, and I don't know who wants to kind of start the conversation about lenses. I know some customers didn't even know what clearance lenses were, and clearance lenses. Who wants to start this one?
Well, maybe what you need to first understand is what a lens does, right? I think that's probably the first thing, because a lot of people don't understand typically what a lens does, and a lens basically takes a wider beam and then makes it into a nice point. And at the end of the point is where which is the smallest spot size, is where we want to be when we hit the material. The question then becomes, how long is it in focus as before it starts to diverge back out again? So lens goes like this, and then your depth of field is here, just like a camera. And then basically it starts to go back out again like this. So a simple way is cone, straight, inverted cone. So what every lens does for what every lens does for you is gives you a certain depth of field. So a 1.5 inch lens is going to give you a small depth of field, but the spot size is smaller. And then if we go to a 2-inch lens, then the depth of field becomes a little bit bigger, but the spot size becomes a little bit bigger. 2.5, the depth of field becomes, bigger, but the spot size becomes bigger. So when you're looking to do really, really fine engraving, normally you want the smallest spot size you can get away with, which is a 1.5-inch lens. But the trade-off is the thickness of the material that you can cut through, or maybe the material has a bit of a curve on it, maybe it warps up a little bit. So again, normally the 2-inch lens is the most common lens we sell, and as I tell people, there's 80% of the people out there probably use nothing more than a 2-inch lens, because ultimately the 2-inch lens is good for everything they do. But again, if you're cutting, I've had people that need a really, really small kerf. I had one guy, I always tell the story of a guy that was cutting model buildings, and he wanted he was cutting out window frames, and he wanted the window frames, get this, to slide in the actual models. So you could actually open up the window frame in the models. It was really cool. But he needed something really small. In the 2-inch lens, he couldn't do it, but the 1.5-inch lens he could get away with. Maybe use the 1.5-inch lens, if you're cutting paper and you try to have the cleanest cut you can get away with. If you're cutting thick material, so if you have a 120-watt laser and you want to cut 3/8 or 1/2-inch material, then you've got to go to a 2.5-inch lens. So again, it just really depends on the material. So again, you can see Lev throwing up some examples on the screen. So anybody else want to add in? Go ahead.
There's videos. If you type in Trotec lenses, there's a couple of instructional videos our guys in Austria made about the difference of engraving. But Stephen, do you have anything to add for lenses? Any applications or advice you want to give to people?
It's like Mike covered that pretty well. It just all depends on the application. As long as there's always going to be a trade-off in one direction or the other, and that the 2-inch in our market is your vanilla lens that works for most applications. I think Mike covered everything. I don't want to get too technical.
Can you guys talk about the clearance lens? What those do?
Well, the 4-inch lens, actually, one of the biggest benefit of having a longer focal distance, like a 4-inch lens, is you're a bit far away from your material. So if you're engraving any concave or convex type of surface, that's the perfect lens to use. So the way I usually explain it to customers is, the bigger the lens or the higher the number is like having a longer knife for cutting, right? Okay. So yeah, small lens means small knife, and
just remember that if you do go to the 4-inch lens, that you have to be 4 inches away from the material. So now what you lose is the depth of your bed, right? And this is always critical to remember.
Give or take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So again, the nice thing about a clearance lens is that you are still you can be closer, but you now have the clearance to be able to do some of those, and you don't lose that your depth of your bed, right? So,
yeah. And then a 1.5-inch lens is going to be fantastic for like your 1,000 DPI photographs in anodized aluminum, or fine materials like that. If you're doing stuff in wood, I mean, don't bother with the 1.5-inch lens. It's not going to make a difference between the two, but definitely in anodized aluminum, I see a huge difference between the 1,000 DPI and a 2-inch lens with 1,000 DPI.
Yeah. Again, it's all, and you got to make sure your power is perfect too. But just remember that there is overlap with the beam. So again, if you want more lines, then as Jimmy said, you've got to go to a smaller lens because you need a smaller spot size. So,
Vivienne, did you end up finding the picture?
I sent it to you by email.
Oh, okay. I'll just bring it up in a second. I'm just going to go to one more question. We had this for a while. I just never got to it, from John in St. Catharines, Ontario. This is a pretty long question, so I'm just going to read it out. Due to some very unique parameters on a job that I'm doing, I actually need to slow down the jogging during the actual job of my 400 flex right now. It's moving so fast. It causes shifting on the bed due to the material properties I'm working with, and there is no hold down method possible. I think it's 3 or 4G. I need like half G or even less. Where in job control can I do this? I can't seem to find the option. There is a max speed in job control, but I can't get access to it. Assuming it's for text only. Moving too fast between cuts. I mean, it's a very technical question. Stephen, do you think you kind of? I think you were explaining it to me before. It's like when the head jumps between cuts, right? That's going to.
In traditional CNC or plotter environments, it used to be called pen up speed. So it was
traversing speed.
Or traversing speed. Now,
yeah.
the acceleration can be manipulated in job control, but like the question says, it's actually a menu section that's accessible to technicians, not to end users. So we're not happy with the end user actually manipulating this, but if it's going to be a critical application for the end user, then you need to reach out to us and we can advise you further. But the acceleration can be manipulated. However, the acceleration between cuts is not fine-grained on the Trotec, so it's going to affect the acceleration across the board. So there's going to be some adjustments to your settings. The fine-grained pen up speed or traverse speed is not, you can't manipulate that hands-on, but the acceleration can be manipulated.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming this is John Canton, so he's very technical and he used to work for Trotec. I'm pretty sure he can handle it, right?
Yeah. Another thing I might do with the traverses, if it's possible, using the different colors, and on say your red, then bring a blue line from that position to where you want to go. And then just have it slow and at 0 power, so your traverse is a lot shorter between where you ended your last object and where you're beginning your next object. So that way, it's not traversing; it's actually doing a vector cut at whatever speed you want, but at 0 power.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and what you could do too. Yeah, what you could do is you could change your home node, which is your end node, on each object, so that the home node and the end node of each object are very close to each other. So you can use the color, but you can also change the starting point of where that node starts and ends, which then, instead of it maybe going over here and then going up to there, then maybe, you can change it so that it's closer. And again, like Jimmy said, you can use colors too to do that. I'll just inject one thing too, which is something that they added in, which was always a bit of a bugaboo for me for years and years and years, with rotary attachments, is the big problem is when you're done the rotary job, the machine wants to race back and it wants to spin that glass really fast. And what Trotec has done is they've actually allowed you to adjust that speed, that the head will move back to the starting point. Yeah, because what will happen a lot of times is things will slip or things will fall off and everything like that. So in the rotary attachment, you do have the ability now to actually adjust that speed so that it doesn't want to race back. And trust me, every rotary attachment I've ever worked on had that problem. So this is, to me, was a nice feature that they did put in there. And I think that's probably people like Vivienne getting on these laser webinars complaining about the fact that it did do that. So that's good that you're doing that, because they'll listen to you. So
that's right.
But it was good. And again, that goes back to John's question, that they have done it for the rotary, and maybe if enough people ask, then maybe they'll do it so that they can slow down between objects too. So,
Vivienne, sorry, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, is that in the software where you can?
Yeah, it's in the options where you set the diameter for your glass or your bottle or whatever you're
options, like accessories, and then
rotary.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up what Vivienne was talking about, the winning. So this is the 3D engraving, and I guess you did an inlay acrylic into wood, and then this looks like Trolle's metallics thins on top.
Thins, right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to design and make this?
Well, I don't know. The flower was the difficult bit because I wanted it really deep, and so that took me a couple of hours YouTube, and then I found your YouTube. I didn't know that it existed, so then I found the one with the balloon. That's Trotec. I think even Trotec Canada made that, and that was really nice. And then I had to find a picture that was already ready because I didn't know how to work with Illustrator at that time. So I really had to teach myself. So I found a picture online, and that was good enough because it worked.
Did you see that 3D engraving webinar that we did with Renee from Calgary? So he suggested there's a great software called Vectric from Aspire, and they can actually, it's not that expensive. It's definitely not as expensive as the old 3D software as like ArtCamp used to be, but there's like tons and tons of ready-made 3D objects that are, the software is built for CNC, but you can use it for 3D engraving with a laser. So it's called Vectric, Aspire from Vectric, or Vectric from Aspire, one or the other. Yeah, just before we go, just a quick question. I had about finding clients. Vivienne, where do you find clients in your business? Do you how much promotion or outbound marketing or sales do you do versus building products and waiting for people to come in, like, or the inbound stuff?
Well, we need to do more. That's one thing. I'm going to go to a seminar next week, I think, they're going to look through the website and see where we can get more Google reviews or Google views or whatever. I have no clue how it works. We do a lot through Instagram. We get a lot of questions through Instagram, through the chat mode. Oh, can you also do this and can you do that? And then, but that's a lot of like one-on-one things and a lot of items that are just unique items, one only.
Okay.
But actually, that has been out.
Yeah, Vivienne, just to answer that question about the burn mark before we sign off, because that comes up a lot. So.
Vivienne, sorry. The question is, how do you remove the burn marks from the rose when you did that 3D engraving on the rose?
I just washed it with vinegar.
Oh, really?
Wow.
I just wet it and I just brushed it. I just rubbed it really hard. But there was not so much on it because I did it with the 3D, the layers, I think it was.
Yeah, is it the layer or the relief mode?
I think the relief mode. Yeah, that's
relief mode. And did you do a one pass or multiple passes on that engraving?
I think it was 3 passes or maybe 5. I'm not sure.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's in the file with what we had to hand in because we had to hand in all the settings and everything. But I'm not sure. I think 3 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So the multiple passes on that 3D is what saves a lot of times a lot of the cleaning that has to be done. So,
yeah, and I also think that maybe I put the last pass I said and do it lightly.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't burn that much.
Yeah.
But yeah. You
should maybe change your name to Laser Bears, not Laser Bears. Right? After that nice piece.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, guys, I think we'll end it there. We're 8 minutes over, but I just wanted to say big thanks to Vivienne from Laser Babes. Check out our website, laserbabes.nl. Look at our Instagram or Ozio on Instagram as well. Excuse me. Honestly, very big thank you from you, and we'll have more customers. Oh, sorry, Mike has a question.
I just want to say that this I like this webinar thing because I get to meet all these really creative, very beautiful people, and you're just along with all the other people that have been on here that do some really beautiful stuff and make selling lasers a lot easier because people look at your talent and then they want to get inspired by you.
Yeah.
So,
thank you so very much for having me. I thought it was really scary, but okay. We made it.
Exactly, guys. Trotec users around the world. It's not that scary. Just come on and chat. We don't buy golf covers, so we're going to talk to him. Stay tuned for next week. Next week, Wednesday, we have the 1 hour design challenge. It is on a RayJet, but if you could do it on a RayJet, you could do it on any Trotec machine. So we have that every Wednesdays, and then we're going to try and do every month to have a consumables webinar. We had one yesterday. Where we talk only about consumables or a specific group of consumables like trolleys or acrylics and so on. So stay tuned, and thank you very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.